Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the video. We're going to be discussing a couple of news pieces in this video which I think tie together rather nicely. The first of which is the fact that Naughty Dog are once again pushing back the release date for Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, and also on top of that, Ready at Dawn, the developers behind the PlayStation 4 exclusive The Order 1886, have announced via Twitter that they just feel that they need to make a better game next time in light of the criticisms that they've faced with their title. Now, you might notice that both of those news stories have one theme in common, a thread which links them. No, not that they're both referring to PlayStation 4 exclusive titles, but something more simple, something which goes across development platforms, and that is responsibility. That is developer responsibility to us as customers. But we'll get more into that in just a moment. First of all, let's tackle the release date issue. Pretty simple. Nothing sinister here. The game is moving back around 5 weeks. It's from March 18th, 2016 all the way down to April 26th. These are the North American release dates, the 27th for the Europe and the 29th in the United Kingdom, Curses and Blast. I won't read out the quote because it's a fairly lengthy one from Neil Druckmann, but the synopsis is that they just believe that they need more time to finish the game to get it up to their standards. And in his words, let's cut to the chase. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End has a new release date for North America of April 26th, 2016. The reasons behind this are not really unsurprising. It's a massive game, and we're not just referring to the size and scope of it, we're talking about the animation, the graphics, the audio, the programming, everything about it, even things such as storyboarding. It's a pretty ambitious title from what we've seen. And they just feel that several areas in the game, and they call them several key sequences, needed extra resources to bring them to the finish line. You can make of that as you will, and it could be anything from, they feel that, for example, in a particular chase sequence, that they need to maybe do a bit of fine-tuning because they've noticed frame rate hitching, or potentially camera glitching, or maybe they feel that the controls aren't maybe as tight as possible in combat. I'm obviously just throwing stuff out there. I'm not putting words into the chap's mouth. The simple fact of the matter is, however, in my personal opinion, I would much rather they delay the release 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, whatever it takes to get the game to perfection. Because honestly, there's nothing more disappointing than having the first impressions of a game when you get it, when you've been looking forward to it so much, and it just doesn't meet them because of game-breaking bugs or glitches or frame rate problems or, physics issues or what have you. We all know that Assassin's Creed Unity is probably one of the most infamous examples in modern day gaming, where it had so much potential. It was such a good game. I actually really enjoyed Unity, but then you saw the bugs and you were like, oh god. And it wasn't just the performance either, it was like the bugs where you could fall through the world, and we all know about the infamous model shots where people's faces are quite literally contorted and missing in some cases. It just destroys the immersion of the game, it destroys your first impressions of the game, and if you just paid $40, $50, $60 for a title, it's not really what you want to see, is it? And yes, you can argue that you can patch the game, but if you have to wait a couple of weeks for that patch to come into place, then you're in kind of a limbo where your first impressions have soured your experience, and then you'll just have to wait, and by that time you might have even lost interest in it. Moving on to The Order 1886. So, full discretion here, I actually quite liked the title. I know it was short, and I know it had a hell of a lot of cinematics, and I also know that it was maybe too linear. And I also didn't really appreciate the developers, Ready at Dawn, being so... I would go as far as to say silly, to be totally honest with you, with their statements about cinematic 30 FPS and the ultra widescreen where you've got, a little tiny letterbox on screen was once again a part of the cinematic experience and making it more movie-like. We all know the real reason. 30 FPS and 1920 by 800 was quite simply to reduce the drain on resources of the PlayStation 4 so that they could put those resources into making the game world prettier. That was fine. I don't have an issue with that if that's the route they wanted to go. I don't necessarily 100% agree with it. I feel that they should have maybe done a few different things regarding anti-aliasing or what have you, But whatever, the title was out and I quite enjoyed it. I loved the game world that they created. I just felt it was one of those titles that it was a crying shame because I loved the game, I loved the world. I just felt that they didn't push it to the level that I had hoped for, and it felt to me like it had a lot of raw potential. However, Andrea Piscino from Radio Dawn has taken to Twitter and commented that, by the way, they are the co-founder of Radio Dawn, just to clarify, that they believe the answer to pretty much everything is that they just need to make a better game next time, and they will. And you know what? I really respect his answer. Essentially, a fan wrote to Andrea and mentioned that he believes that a score of around 8 out of 10 would have been a good score in terms of Metacritic, and obviously Metacritic, it kind of got panned. It sits currently at a score of around 63 out of 100, which obviously is an astounding score to say the least. Not that I put much faith in Metacritic to say the least. I don't really put much stock in review scores at all now, if I'm totally honest. But there you go. However, his response, we just have to make a better game. I really like that. I love the personal responsibility. It's not like, yeah, the critics just misunderstood us. We did X, we did Y, maybe it wasn't to their taste, or, the fans have it wrong, or any of this bollocks. It was quite simple. Yeah, we probably made some mistakes along the way, and next time we're going to learn from that. It's a learning experience, and we're going to go ahead and improve it for the next title. And that, to me, is how you not only do the best by your fans and make sure that they will be more willing to give your new title a shot, because let's face it, if you say, wow, this game's amazing, it doesn't matter if everyone personally thought it was an absolute pile of crap or buggy mess or what have you. It was absolutely amazing. I'm not saying the Order was that bad or anything like that. I'm just paraphrasing. And then you're trying to defend it. You're just burning bridges with people. It's better just to say, yep, we realise that we made some mistakes. We're really sorry, we're going to learn from them, we hope people enjoyed the game, and we're really appreciative of the fans who did love the game, but for everyone else, we're taking your criticisms on board, and we're just going to do better. That's simple. And that, to me, is what it's all about. And I think if more studios, more developers did that, they took some responsibility, they realised that it's not a case of, the game didn't sell well because of piracy, or the game didn't do well because it happened to be released at the time of another title, or the reviewers were sometimes a little unfair to the game, and that can happen. I do think that occasionally, particularly amongst critics on larger websites, it can be a case where some games just get unlucky and they just get panned by critics for very little reason. It could be, for example, there's been a slew of platformers and therefore another platform which has come out. It just happened to pick a bad time, and at that point no one's really thinking, hey, this game's particularly original anymore. The mechanics have been done, and therefore they kind of mark it down because of that. In my opinion, however, I think it's great that developers are just taking that responsibility. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.